It might not be the most popular opinion, but I'm really not a fan of the Great Money Caper. I have to say, Abe Simpson, I loved him in this. I tend to love him in anything because I think he's a great character. But apart from that, I found it really uncomfortable, and I think that's because I'm really against what was happening in the episode. Now, that's not to say I have to agree with everything I watch because, well, that would be very limiting, especially as I'm a big horror fan. But I don't know, I found it uncomfortable. Um, because I'm one of those people who absolutely hates cheats and liars, and it's so at the forefront of this episode that I just got angry. And I understand that there are things in it that are entertaining, and that there are moments for redemption, and that Bart and Homer have chances to actually address their emotions and realize that maybe they're not completely okay with everything they're doing. So actually the structure of the episode is very good, and I'll talk more about the narrative in a moment. But for me personally, and for the way it made me feel, I didn't like it. So perhaps what I should say is it's not a bad episode in terms of the way it's constructed, but for me, I didn't love it. It's the 7th episode of the 12th season of The Simpsons, directed by Mike Frank Polcino, 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, which for this stage in The Simpsons is a relatively okay rating. It seems to be relatively well received. Bart and Homer start. Well, they start off relatively innocently after Marge gets very drunk, and I won't say much more about that actually. Marge gets drunk, and things happen that are actually quite entertaining. But then Bart and Homer begin to scam people, and it kind of gets out of hand, and things just escalate more and more. And I don't want to say too much more about it because that's kind of the point of the narrative, of seeing just how far they'll go. And as things begin to escalate, maybe they're not completely comfortable with what they're doing. And I'd like to think that anybody in that situation would also feel the same. That maybe they're not completely okay with everything. But because I'm so against that kind of behaviour, seeing these characters who I love, Homer and Bart are brilliant characters, seeing them doing something I so desperately disagree with, I would plead with them to stop. That it just feels weird and wrong, and I don't know. It's not like I always feel that way. If I'm watching it in a film, it's very different because I haven't got this relationship with these characters. And as I said, they do have times for kind of redemption, or at least opportunities to say, yeah, that was a bit awkward. For example, when they give a brief description of a character, blaming somebody else for their actions, and then something pretty terrible happens as a result of that. I can't say too much more about it. That things like that are when we can kind of maybe see that they're slightly questioning what they're doing. So I didn't love it. The subject matter does not appeal to me. I really do not like it. However, that being said, it is a good episode in terms of the development of the narrative. It's got a lot happening. It's packed full. Constantly, everything is fresh, everything is different. It's escalating at quite a rapid rate. It's not slow. It's not dull at any rate. And as I said, Abe Simpson, Grampa, gives a pretty good performance as well. We also have a guest voice. Edward Norton voices the character Devon Bradley, which is not a bad thing at all. So for me, it's not a good episode, but if people like it, I can understand. I can absolutely understand why. I'm not going to say I'll skip the episode if I watch this season again. Maybe I will. I don't know. There are very, very, very few episodes of The Simpsons that I would skip. Usually it's just the clip shows, because if I've been binge watching The Simpsons, I don't need a clip show to recap, unless it's one of the slightly more creative ones. I didn't love it. I think that's pretty obvious.